I'm sure you thought about this a lot and with some of the challenges. So what's one, I don't want to ask you what's the solution for college football, but if you could change one thing about it or make one change right now, what would it be? I got a big announcement. I just released my brand new resource for anyone trying to get recruited to play college football. Whether you're a player, the coach of a player, a parent of a player, this resource will help you learn everything you need to know to dominate the college football recruiting process. It's called the Get Coaches to Call Game Plan, and inside I'll reveal the secrets that top recruits use to make dynamic highlight videos and get in touch with coaches, and I'll give you a step-by-step guide for how to get coaches to notice you and reach out to you. The best part is that it's totally free. All I need is your name and your email. Check the link in the show notes. Now let's get back to the podcast.
I like the portal.
Yeah.
I like NIL. I wish I had NIL when all these Fresno people were in my jersey and I was getting $471 a month, including Pell Grant. You know what I mean? Like, I was broke, and I was married. My wife had to stop being the captain of the swim team for a future Olympic swim coach to go coach swimming so we could have $1,400 or $1,400, yeah, just about $1,500 a month to live off of in college. So I love that these kids have the opportunity to have a little extra money in their pocket. It's the timing of it all. I've said this to my staff, I've said this to the players. You know, Tony Dungy, I learned a lot from Tony. One of the best things I learned from him was making wise decisions, not making emotional decisions. At the end of every season, he would in a team meeting say, hey guys, this is going to end one of two ways. We're going to win the Super Bowl. And when you win the Super Bowl, everybody has too high of an opinion of themselves. And they're emotionally wrapped up in themselves. They're all legends in their own mind. It'll happen to you guys too one day when you win the Super Bowl. The flip side of that is if you don't win the Super Bowl, you're miserable. Like knives in the eyes miserable. If you're a true competitor. If you're a true competitor, you've invested everything you have into trying to win the last game of the year, and you don't win that last game, you should be miserable. And I always make the joke, and my wife will roll her eyes and say, you know, when we lost, if we didn't win the last game there, my wife was ugly, I didn't like my kids, my food didn't taste good, I was grumpy all the time for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so Tony would say, don't make any decisions for 2 weeks. I think this is a great time to spend your money and go to Mexico, go to Hawaii, go play golf, go fishing. Whatever you do, get away from football when it's over for 2 weeks and don't make any decisions. And then process it all, and then come back and make some decisions. I think that's just a good life principle for all of us, right? Don't make any big life decisions right after something very dramatic happened. Well, when's the portal open? Right after the season. When everybody, coach, player, DFOs, student workers, everybody's emotional. Everybody's heartbroken.
Good or bad.
Everybody's like not making wise decisions. And now you add money into that, and you're going to get a lot of poor decision making by us too. Like all of a sudden a kid that's, week 7, man, this guy's a good player, he's great, drops the ball in week 12, and all of a sudden he's the worst player, and you're trying to replace him in the portal. Right? So first thing I wanted to make sure I was being true to my word. So I went back, and cut-ups were so important to me because I just started grinding through cut-ups on our team. I wanted to have a very clear perspective of our team. I started watching practice clips. We have a lot of really good young players. We played 24 freshmen or redshirt freshmen. So we have a lot of really good young players. So I back and watch these players in practice. I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I'm valuing them correctly and not being emotional when, boom, 3,000 kids pop up there and you're like, oh, that kid's better than my kid. No, hold on a second. Let's evaluate our players. Let's have a non-emotional evaluation about them. Let's grade them. Let's make sure I did my staff. Every staff member had to do a big time, and my evaluations are relentless now. Like they are big time evaluations that I make the staff do. So I take mine, I take the staff, and now I have a composite of the intangible makeup of the kid that I'm already coaching, the physical traits, the vision for this player, the mission for them to get there, their ceiling and their floor. I'm like, okay, now I'm not emotional anymore. I know who my team is. Okay, now start cutting up the portal. And it was amazing, all these kids that jumped in the portal, that as I started watching cut-ups, I'm like, yeah, that's a good player, it's not better than mine. That's a good player, it's not better than mine. That's a good player, not better than mine. He might have more experience. He might be at a bigger logo school. He might have had more stars coming out of high school. But an objective evaluation of my players opposed to the players I was watching, now I can make some wise decisions in that process. And then there's the economic piece that I talked about. Now, I will say this. I've had players in my exit meetings, knowing I was doing that were really appreciative of that.
Yeah.
I can think of 5 kids that sat in those chairs and were like, Coach, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you're not just running on to the next thing, that you really know who I am. Because I share those evaluations with those players.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you are a high ceiling mid-floor player. You're still young, early in your development. Your traits put you in the NFL, these metrics. Here's my vision for who you're going to be next year.
Yeah.
Here's the plan for you as we move forward. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why we haven't been killed in the portal, because at least they know we're giving them honest feedback and we're evaluating them before we make some knee-jerk reaction to go jump into the portal. Yeah. So these 3 weeks, I know it's a Dilfer answer, a long-winded answer. These 3 weeks are crazy when you're not just going, oh, there's a cute little toy in the portal. Let's bring him in on an OV.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing with the portal is like, it just moves so fast, right? Like if a guy is the portal, you got to make a decision quick, or else he's you
don't.
Or you don't.
Or you just make a decision you don't.
To your point. You guys know I love football. And this football season, I've been trying to find a new way to bet on sports. I'm sick of using casinos, the traditional way to do it. And I found the best way to do it, had to tell you guys about it. It's on Cut. Cut is the game-changing social betting platform. Look no further. This is where you got to be. It's a peer-to-peer betting playground. So put your money where your mouth is. It's time to fire on sports on the best new app. I've been looking for a long time, and I found it. It's on Cut. Use my promo code ADAMB and get a 10% deposit match at cut.com. That's cut.com, Kutt.com. Use my code ADAMB for a 10% deposit match when you deposit money.
Our personnel department does an incredible job. Coach runs in the office, hey, we need this guy cut up. And they are all hands on deck from 5. They all get here about 5 in the morning. They all leave about 8, 9 o'clock at night. And it is nonstop. Yes, sir. Boom, 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 boom. I want 36 worst plays. Great, done. 10 minutes later, 36 worst plays. I want 150 targets. Great, 150 targets. I want versus this opponent. Blah, 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 that opponent. And because of technology, we do invest a lot in technology, we're able to get these things turned around really well, really quickly, and what, in my opinion, do a really thorough job of our evaluations. People forget, one of my best friends is Trent Dilfer, who's the general manager of the Jaguars. He built that 49ers team from the dust. I know it didn't end well for him, but he's been one of the best GMs in football at 2 different spots now. And I've learned a lot of my evaluation tools from him. And thoroughness is one of them. It's not just taking a small sample size to evaluate a player. So we do a very, very large sample size in our evaluations of players. So therefore, we can't make the quick decisions. So we have in real time been evaluating a player and lost on a portal kid. And my answer to that is that's okay. Because if to actually sign that kid, we would have had to made a knee-jerk reaction without the full evaluation, and 4 transfers you're stuck with. Because I also want to know path towards graduation. I want to know something from their high school, coach, teacher. I want to know something about their background. I want to know about their family. I want to know about their decision making. I want to know, do they smoke a bunch of weed or do they not? You know, I want to know a bunch of different things. Medical. I want to know everything. I want a composite. I always call it a dossier. Like, give me a dossier on a player. If you can't, then we're not going to sign them. And sure, we're going to lose out on some really talented players. But what we're not going to do is bring in cancers.